Hello, hello. What's going on, Wired fam? Hope everybody's doing well. It is, let's see, June the 23rd. Golly, it's already June. End of June, nonetheless. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Hope everybody's doing well tonight. We are going to talk about some techniques for crappie fishing tonight. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about all the different techniques that there are. I think, it always happens when new technology comes out. Everybody kind of forgets that there's so many different fun ways to catch these fish that we all love so much. So we are going to talk about techniques tonight. Guys, if you don't care, when you get on, drop me a hello. Let me know where you're from. I always enjoy seeing you guys and being able to say hello back. So if you don't care, drop me a hello and let me know where you guys are from. Busy week this week, guys. Actually, busy last couple weeks. So got the Wired House going, got a lot of stuff going on there. If I start yawning, which I'm going to do. Now I got everybody on the live yawning too. But if I start yawning on you guys, it's because I'm extremely tired. So it's been, let's see. House going, trying to fish, work, everything, staying up late, trying to get things done. Trying to save as much money as I can, do as much work as I can on the Wired House. I figure if I can do it, me and my boys can do it ourselves. We're trying to do that. So, been some long, late nights, but I'm looking forward to the weekend, looking forward to get out there fishing. And hopefully, I took the boys fishing. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Did not get to tell everybody that. Hope you saw it on the Wired page. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. That was last Sunday. But I had a great Father's Day. We went fishing Father's Day evening, went and caught some fish. It was really, really fun. I put the boys up on the front of the boat. I sat in the back of the boat and just watched. And they caught fish after fish after fish. So a lot of fun there. Just time to unwind and just unplug and just watch them fish. I had more fun watching them fish than if I would have been up there on the deck with them fishing. So just to watch my two boys stand up there and catch fish was a blessing for me. So let's see, who all do we have on this evening? Larry Merrick, hello. James Hamby, hello. Matthew Kofelt, what's going on? Dave D from Greenville, South Carolina, what's going on, buddy? Tom A from Pennsylvania. Heath McDaniel, good evening. Crappie Kev from Ashburn, Virginia. What's going on, Crappie Kev? Steven from Holly Springs, North Carolina. What's going on? Dennis Evans. He says, hello all, or Randy E. He says, hello all. First time live. Welcome to the live. I'm glad you're here. Jimmy Pratt. Hello. Hello, Matt. First time here from Southern Illinois. That's Quentin. What's going on, Quentin? Glad you're with us, buddy. I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, guys, for those that are new, if you have any questions, put them in the comment. Love to answer questions. So if you guys have any as we're going through tonight, put them in the comments and we'll get them answered. Johnny Coops from Ringgold, Georgia. What's going on? Robert Love. Hello. TC Too Cool from Ohio. What's going on? Tyler Key. Hello, Tyler. And Jamie Nelson from Kentucky Lake. Jamie, how's Kentucky Lake fishing? You guys still have the carp problem up there, or is it getting better? They starting to right the ship. Asleep at the Reel, what's going on? Hope all are good. Yes, everything is good, Chris. I appreciate you for being here, buddy. Thank you for being a part. Everything is going great, guys. It really is. The house is coming along. Hoping to get into that soon. Hopefully have that done September, October, a lot of late nights, as I said. Whew, 9 o'clock's catching up with me this week. I'm going to pound the caffeine through this whole show. But, it's been great. It really has. So, going to do an update on the house right now. I have not done one in the last couple of weeks because there's so much moving and shaking. I've got some videos, but right now it's probably best to keep those for certain reasons. So we will get some more video out there for you guys of the wired house. It is moving along very quickly, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting a new video out for you guys. So last week's video, Teleco. If you guys saw the video last week, I fished Teleco summer fashion. It was really, really fun. Had a great trip. Caught a lot of really nice fish, which you guys saw in the video. Got to fish with them that MCM tackle hair jig. Absolutely loved that hair jig. The hooks are great. They're sharp. I didn't have any hookup problems with it, which we talked about before. If you saw the MCM tackle on the live that 1 week, I think it's 2 weeks ago. But there I go again. Woo! Everybody's going to be ready for bed when you get done with me. Putting you guys to sleep this week. So, but yes, the MCM tackle hair jig did fabulous. I mean, it was a really, really, really great jig. I was really, really impressed with not only the sharpness of the hook, but the flexibility of the hook. When I got hung, I went straight braid with that jig because I wanted to be able to pull it out of the brush, because hair jigs are a little bit more expensive than a plastic. So I wanted to be able to get that out of the brush pile when I got hung, which was great. I think I lost one all day, which was really not bad. If I went fishing and only lost one jig, I'd consider myself successful. But it was a great trip. Caught a lot of big fish. Did not catch a whole lot of small fish. The area I was in, there wasn't a whole lot of fish in that area, but the ones that were in that area were good fish. So was able to catch some really nice fish for you guys on the video for you to see. I don't know if anybody caught it. Did anybody catch what was on the screen of my video last week? I'm just asking. Let's see if anybody knows. Anybody catch what was going on with the screen on my video? I just want to see if anybody saw it besides me, because a lot of times when we're editing this stuff, we pick up just the littlest things. Like the littlest thing just aggravates me. Chris will probably tell you after I announce what it was. Chris will probably say, "Yeah, I hate that." But did anybody see what was on the screen on last week's video? Did anybody catch it? Let's see here. Garland Atwood says, last weekend we fished all day for crappie. We saw them on the scope, but no bites. Fished with shiners and jigs. Where are you fishing at, Garland? Are you in East Tennessee? Jamie Nelson says, progress on the carp, but still a problem, no doubt. Fishing with Camo Joe said, slip corking with a micro yarn barber stopper. Micro yarn barber stopper. Barber stop. I'm going to actually do a slip cork. I have a new slip float that I have found that is absolutely great for crappie fishing. And I have one over my shoulder, but I'm not going to show it to you this week. I'm going to do a video with this new float, and you guys have got to see it. It is absolutely, and I buy them just like you guys do. I came across it, and I thought, man, that would solve a lot of my problems. I'm going to try that, and I tried it, and I absolutely love this float. So probably whether this week or next week, you'll see that video with that slip float. I'm going to do a video with it on slip floating for crappie, and it is a game changer. I mean, it really is. I'm not going to tell you what brand it is. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to say watch the video in a couple weeks, because it is a game changer for crappie fishing, no doubt. For slip floating crappie, it's a game changer. You always see the standard slip float where your line goes down through the float and so on and so forth. And this, I'm telling you, you'll want to watch. I'm not saying anything else because I'm gonna give it away, because I can't keep no secrets. So I'm gonna hush and I'm gonna move on. All right. Let's see. Larry Hughes, he says, first time, like your videos. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it, buddy. I very much enjoy doing the videos for you guys. I've got some teaching stuff that we're going to start doing here soon, and obviously, I have been focused as far as my teaching. I've been focused more on the Crappie Academy that I'm doing. So every 3 months, I'm doing a Crappie Academy class at Crappie Cove. If you guys want more information on that, you can go to Crappie Cove's website, www.crappiecove.com, and you can look up the Crappie Academy. You can participate in that Crappie Academy online or in the classroom. So if you want to learn more about crappie fishing, I go very, very in depth. I have PowerPoints and presentations and everything right there for you guys in that class. And I focused a lot of my teaching over to that class, but we're going to get back to a lot of it on the channel as well, because I know you guys want to learn, and that's what it's about. That's what Wired for Crappie is here for, is to help you become a better angler. So we're going to get back to a lot of that on our videos, but the next few weeks, I'm gonna go pull some crankbaits. I think this weekend we're gonna do a crankbait show, and then we got the slip float coming. I don't know. I may do that vice versa. It just depends on what the fish are like and how they're set up. So if I get out there and I see them on crankbaits, I'll do a crankbait show. If they're not on crankbaits, I'll do the slip float and vice versa. So, whatever week that falls on, and I can find those fish set up in the right manner, that's what we'll do. But we're going to do some more teaching and get you guys up to speed, I guess. And this all kind of plays into what we're going to talk about tonight, because we're going to talk about techniques to catch crappie. So, Larry, if you have any questions, please, guys, put them in the comment section. I'm here to answer questions. This is a Q&A. This is not a Matt get on here and spill about his life. This is a Q&A for you guys. It's about getting on here, you guys asking questions, participating, and me being able to answer those questions for you. I've got a little bit of knowledge up here. I like to think it's a little more than average, maybe, but I want to get it out to you guys, and I can't get it out if you don't ask. So if you don't ask the question, I can't get that answer to you. I can't get that knowledge out of here and onto your screen. So ask those questions. There is no wrong question. There is no dumb question. Ask. Okay, guys? Asleep says, hit that like button, guys. Smash the like button for me, please. That helps a YouTuber out tremendously for you guys just to smash that like button. And look, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. I mean, that helps so much as well. It just lets people know that, hey, I like what's going on here enough. First of all, smash the like button. And second of all, I want to subscribe because I like what's going on this channel and I don't want to miss anything. So, guys, please smash that subscribe button, hit that like, and smash the little notification bell. That way you get a ding on your phone when we post a video or we're about to go live. So that way you don't miss anything. I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you. All right, Tom A. What size hair jigs were you using in last video? I was using a 16th ounce. I think I said it in the video, I think. If not, I'm sorry. But I was using a 16th ounce hair jig. So typically when I'm fishing with a hair jig in the summer, I'm using a 16th ounce. And I'll tell you why, because typically when I fish with a hair jig in the summer, I'm typically fishing deeper. So I want to get that jig down to those fish a little bit quicker so that I'm not standing up there on the deck just waiting on my bait to get down there. I want to get down there to the business, you know what I mean? So I use a 16th ounce. Nathan Wood from Wabash, Indiana. What's going on, Nathan? Chris got it right off the bat. Chris said, a blur. It was. Yeah. And let's see, Jeff got it too. Drop of water on camera. It was actually not a drop of water. So a blur or smudge. That's exactly what it was. It was a smudge on my lens. And look, guys, it never fails. If you film outdoors, it never fails. You are going to have something like that happen. It's just nature. I mean, it's just what can go wrong. Murphy's Law, right? What can go wrong will go wrong. And I filmed all kinds of stuff last weekend. I had, what's it called? I had B-roll shots. I had boat load, unload. I had running down the lake. I had the bridge shot. I had all kinds of just great footage that I felt. And I'm not a big B-roll guy. I'm not a big, just film the bank, film the trees, film the mountains. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm filming my fish catches. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a huge B-roll guy, but I thought to myself, well, let's do a little bit. So I got all this footage, and I thought I'll be able to mash this and cut that and do this and do that, and I'll have this great show and blah blah blah. And I got home and I started watching footage, and I was like, no. Actually, I noticed it while I was on the lake, and when I sat down to do my closing, I sat down and I looked at the camera to see if my light was flashing, if it was still on or off, and I looked down at it and I went, oh, okay. And I actually took my shirt, licked my shirt, and wiped the camera off, and it came off, and I was like, no, that's going to be bad. And I got home, and it was right smack dab in the middle of the friggin' screen. I was like, no! So all my footage had a little blur in the middle of the screen, but it wasn't too bad. My wife's like, hey, it's not that bad. Don't worry about it. You can see it sometimes, and sometimes you can't. So don't worry about it. I was like, yeah, okay. But the footage was too good to not put it out for you guys. So I wanted to put it out. And I hope it was okay. I hope you guys don't scold me or beat me up over it too much. Nobody mentioned it in the comments of the video. Nobody was like, hey, dude, you need to clean your camera. So I thought that was a win because nobody told me I need to clean my camera. So anyway, Terry Gear, what's going on? Steve Moody. Here's a good one. Steve Moody says, explain Thermocline. Absolutely, I will. I can do better than that. I have a video that shows you the Thermocline. So we are going to, I'm going to get that up right now. Hang on just a second. Let me get that up. And doink. It's y'all's lucky day. It's your lucky day today. Now, somebody's probably thinking, why do you have a video with Thermocline just hanging around on your desktop? Well, that's because in the last Crappie Academy class at Crappie Cove, we went over Fish Finder 101, and we're going through all these different shots with fish finders, and I'm going through all this different footage, and I'm showing people everything, and I'm explaining how to break down your fish finder, what you're seeing on the screen, what's what. And one of them had a very defined Thermocline. And I was like, oh, who here has never seen the Thermocline? And they're like, oh, I haven't. So they're saying, da-da-da. And I said, well, let's look at one. I got it right here. So let me show you guys. First, I got to share my screen. Hang on just 1 second. And then I'll explain it too. So. All right. All right. Let's see here. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now? If you want sound, you have to go to Academy. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Y'all can hear me now, right? All right. So now that I remember how to use my computer. All right. So let's start over since nobody heard a thing that I said. All right. So as you can see on your screen now, you've got about 38 feet of water and you've got trees, okay? You have a layer, so you've got a black layer, which is your water column, and then starting at about 25 feet, guys, okay, you start seeing this cloud, all right? Now, that's where your thermocline is sitting, right at the top of that cloud, okay? So as you get deeper from that thermocline, this right here is dead, dense water. It's just dense, dead water is all that is. It's denser than your surface water. That's why it sinks to the bottom of your lake. That's what gives you your thermocline in the summer is dense, dead water. You will notice as I roll this screen, okay, you will not see any life down below the thermocline. Everything you see, that fish right there, that fish there, the fish in this tree, the fish that there's a fish right there. There's bait right there, obviously at the top of that tree. That's way above the thermocline. There's a fish right here, okay, on that tree. Everything you see is going to be above this thermocline in the summer. All right, because this is dense, dead water. There's not going to be anything happening below that thermocline. Okay, so that's what you're looking for on your depth finder when you see thermocline in the summer. It's just a layer of dense water is all that's going to be. Okay, does that make sense? That makes sense to everybody? Did everybody hear that? Did I get that right? Dun, 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 dun. Okay. I saw a good explanation, so I think we got it right. So that's thermocline. Thermocline is a layer. It's where the dense, dead, non-oxygenated water falls through the water column to the bottom of the lake, and it sets up in the bottom of the lake in the summer. It's just dead, dense water. There's not going to be anything. So if you see that on your screen, you can bet you're not going to catch fish below it, okay? Everything's going to be sitting right on top of that thermocline. All right, let me find my spot again. All right, Michael has a question. Will crappie load up on docks that are in swift water? Yes, they will. I have found crappie on docks in current. They will use poles as a current break. And also something that they will do is if you have a floating dock, that's why I tell people don't be afraid to go shallow in the summer, because if you have current, you have a floating dock, those fish will pull right up underneath that float, and it acts as a current break too. Okay, so you can a lot of times you can get fish that'll sit right up underneath a float or right at the surface of the water on the backside of the float where there's an eddy coming around the float. So a lot of times you will find fish stacked up in swift water on docks. Yes. Now it's extremely hard to fish for those fish a lot of times because they'll be sitting right behind a pole or right behind a piece of structure or something of that nature. And to get your jig in there to where it'll fall down in front of that fish can be challenging at times if you don't have the right angle with those fish. But yes, they will stack up on docks. Nathan Wood, Thank you, Nathan, for the super chat. I appreciate it, buddy, very much. Guys, if you don't know what a super chat is, that is a way for you guys to give back to the channel to help keep me on the water, making great content for you guys. Everyone knows that YouTube is not free. I mean, you've got camera equipment, time, all the equipment on your boat, so on and so forth. It is definitely not cheap. Keeping up with all the new equipment that comes out so that you guys can see and learn how that stuff works and see how it works. It's strenuous a lot of times. So thank you very much. It is a blessing to me for those super chats to come in, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone, every dollar that comes in on super chat. I appreciate very much. Thank you, Nathan. That's a blessing, buddy, and I appreciate it. Let's see. Heidi Clark, what's going on, Heidi? Hadn't seen you in a while. Or did I? Did I see you last week? Were you on last week, Heidi? If you were, I don't remember. Quentin says, anyone use Suffix Braid 6-pound test? I've used Suffix Braid. I don't currently use Suffix Braid, but what I use is the Bonehead B-Power. That is the 12-pound braid, and I typically run orange. I do have yellow too, but I have used Suffix Braid, and it's great. I mean, it's a great braid. You know, to me, there's not a lot of braids that just stand out. I mean, they're all very similar in composition and performance. I haven't found a braid yet that just absolutely jumps out to me and says, don't ever buy anything else ever in your entire life. Now, I prefer the Bonehead because I'm a Bonehead guy. I love my Bonehead products, but a Suffix is a good braid too. Steve Moody, thank you, Steve, for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate it. It's a blessing to me. It's a blessing to the channel. It's a blessing to my family. So I appreciate you very much for that, buddy. Thank you very much. You guys got me jumping around tonight. All right, let's see. Larry Hughes from Pickwick area. What's going on, Larry? Terry Gear says, hey, folks, Matt, a good fisherman just trying to help us all. Well, that's the goal. The goal, Terry, is to help everybody if we can. If you guys have questions and we have answers, then absolutely, we're going to put that out there. And we're going to try to help where we can. That's Wired for Crappie. Joel Nash, he says, what's up, Matt? How's the crappie on Watts Bar? I have not been to Watts Bar. I actually have not been there since the last East Tennessee Crappie Club tournament. That was the week after the ACC event. I have not fished Watts Bar. I need to get back over there and fish it, but I haven't been on it. So I've been fishing Tellico and Loudon quite a bit. I love Tellico in the summer. Tellico is my favorite lake in the summer, period. As far as East Tennessee is concerned, you can go to Tellico and just wear fish out in the summer. It stays cooler. It's a deeper lake. Well, somewhat deeper. It's similar as far as depth to Watts Bar, but it's cooler because you got the Little River coming out of, well, not Little River. It's the Little Pigeon, I think. Is that Little Pigeon? What river is that? I get my rivers mixed up now. But you've got it coming out of Tellico in the mountains, so it stays a little cooler. But yeah, I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people on Watts Bar that have caught a lot of good fish out there recently. The larger fish are setting up in that kind of summer pattern, and they're a little easier to locate right now. This spring on Watts Bar was a little difficult as far as finding those bigger fish. I mean, they were scattered, and they're starting to kind of relocate back to that summer brush, and they're getting a little easier to find now. So the bigger fish are being caught. But all in all, I would say Watts Bar had a down year this year. I would say that, there was a lot of 2+ pound fish caught in the ACC event, and in the East Tennessee Crappie Club events, there was a lot of good fish caught too. But Not as many as in years past. Definitely not as many as last year. Last year was absolutely crazy on Watts Bar. 2.5 pound fish on the regular. So I would say this year is a little down, but we'll see what happens next year. Dave D says, have a Lowrance Elite FS on console. Any recommendations for front units? All Lowrance, sell Lowrance, and go all Garmin. Garmin Live Scope plus some other combination for console and front sonar. So I can tell you the way I have my boat set up, Dave, and it works for me. The way I have mine set up, I run 2 Lowrance HDS units on the console and a Garmin up front. I don't have multiple units up front. I don't have my units linked. I don't put waypoints in my Garmin. I keep all my waypoints on the console. When I go to a brush pile, I mark it and I put the live scope down and fish it. So that's just how I run mine. I don't have a whole lot of units cluttering up the deck. So if it were me, that's the way I'd run it. I'd run my units on the console, and then I'd run live scope up front, and that'd be it. Hey, we just got up to all the mic checks. Mic check. Hello. Sorry, guys. I don't know why I turned my mic off, but go figure. I'm tired. Give me a break. Larry's got a question. So you've said summer crappie in Main River and the first third of creeks. Does that apply to the big creeks like White and Piney that are quite big? So Larry, to answer your question about those very large creeks like Piney and White's Creek, you kind of have to think of them as their own lake. Okay. So your main creek channel through Piney is going to be your main river channel, okay? And your secondary creeks or your branches off of that are going to be the first third of your creeks. Does that make sense? So when you get those really large creeks like that, guys, like Piney River or White's Creek on Watts Bar, you've got to look at them as their own kind of lake. So you got to just draw a line from the mouth of Piney River across and think, okay, let's go from here in. This is my lake now. Where are my creeks and where is my main river channel? Ashley Coffee, what's going on, buddy? I caught fish in 23 feet of water yesterday, and some died shortly after releasing them. I thought the water wasn't deep enough for the air bladder issue. Any idea on what it was? It's a combination right now, Ashley, of not only the air bladder, but the temperature, okay? So you're pulling those fish out 23 feet of water. Those fish are still down there. It's like when you jump off a boat in the lake in the summer. When you hit the water, you're like, it's not that bad. And then the further down you go, the colder it gets. And then eventually you're like, golly, my toes are cold. Those fish are down there in cool water. They're sitting down there deep in cold water. And as you pull those fish up, the air bladder is affecting those fish because in the summer, they're down there in that dense water. They got that air bladder full so that they don't sink down to the thermocline, right? So they don't get down there in that dense, dead water. They got to really keep that air bladder regulated so that they can stay in place. And when you pull them up, that air bladder expands, and also the extreme temperature change of the water is what gets them too. So you really have to be careful in the summer, guys, with your fish and pulling them out of deep water. When you pull those fish out of deep water in the summer, a lot of times, or more times than not, those fish are affected. I've pulled fish out of 20 feet of water in the summer that when you get them up to the top of the lake, they just roll over on their side and it's like they're dead. I mean, it's just like they're stone cold dead. Just reeling them out of 20 feet, by the time they hit the surface, there's not a breath or a movement in them. And it's just like, dang it. Okay. So you really have to be cognizant of how those fish react when you're bringing them up. One thing you can do is bring them up a little slower. I know, you risk losing the fish, but bring them up a little slower in the summer. Give them time to regulate. Don't jerk the, insides out of them and sling them in the boat. But, it's about all you can do. And, keep what you catch if you catch them. But a lot of people don't like to keep them in the summer because the meat is actually, it's got a different texture to it because those fish are warmer. I can tell you how to counteract that. Get you a couple bags of ice, put in your live well that morning. Get you a really, really cold ice bath going in there, and then put them on ice or throw them in the live well in that ice water, and it'll firm that meat up. You can do the same thing in a cooler. Put a couple bags of ice in there and put a little water in there so they'll sink in the water, and freeze them. It'll firm the meat up. So anyway, but yeah, you do have to be careful in the summer. Crappie Kev, what size braid do you use for casting jigs? I use 12-pound bonehead B-power braid. It's the diameter. I don't know if you guys can see the diameter on there. 0.14 millimeters. That's actually about a 4-pound test diameter. Okay. That's what I use to cast jigs. So Matthew says, I just got off of Watts Bar today, caught fish on brush around 20 feet. So that's typical Watts Bar this time of year. Sid Lewis, what's going on? How are you? So guys, let's talk a little bit about different techniques, okay? What is y'all's favorite technique to catch crappie? Is it slip floating? Is it, fishing? Is it dead sticking a minnow? Is it casting a jig? Is it dead sticking jigs? Is it shooting docks? Is it long line trolling? Is it pulling planer boards? Is it crankbaits? Is it spider rigging? Is it casting to open water fish with live scope? Is it fishing brush with live scope? I mean, there's so many different ways to catch these fish. And, over the last year to two, there's really been, ever since the live sonar technology has come out, it has really changed the face of crappie fishing. You see a lot more people that are just fishing brush and just, scoping open water fish with live scope. Live scope has kind of become the go-to technique for those that have live scope for crappie fishing. And it's a shame because there's so many fun ways to catch them. And, I'm going to go pull crankbaits this weekend because I hadn't done it this year yet. And I'm not going to stare at the live scope screen this weekend. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to catch fish doing something I love and something different. I'm going to switch it up because, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I can't catch them on crankbait. Well, I guess I could catch them on crankbaits with live scope because I can just move around and watch them and throw out to them. But, it's going to be fun. It's going to be something different. So a lot of different ways to catch fish. Catch fish and a lot of different techniques to do so. So what are some of you guys' favorite? What do you guys like to do? I know there's a lot of guys on here that have live scope now, but outside of live scope, what is your favorite technique? And with live scope, do you prefer sniping open water fish? Do you prefer using live scope on docks? Do you use your live scope on brush? How are you guys fishing, and are you still using live bait? Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing and what your favorite techniques are. And then let's talk about that a little bit. So let's talk about, the differences in the techniques. So there, so Matthew Kofelt says dock shooting. Okay. That's his favorite technique. So when you shoot docks, Matthew, are you generally using 32nd ounce to 16th ounce? Are you generally using plastics, hair jigs? Do you use a float when you shoot docks? A lot of guys will shoot with a float, a small little, like a trout magnet float. so many different ways to shoot docks. I can tell you the way I like to shoot docks. A 32nd ounce head all the time for me. If I could shoot a 64th far enough, I would use a 64th. The reason is because I like that slower fall when I'm shooting docks. I want to be able to present that bait to those fish for as long as possible. So if I shoot a 16th under there, that jig falls faster and it gets down below the fish, and I have to reel to keep that bait at a certain depth. So if I want it to ride at 3 feet, I've got to, as soon as that bait hits the water, I've got to close the bail, count to 2, and start reeling to keep it at 3 feet. So I like a 32nd ounce jig when I'm shooting docks. It presents my bait to those fish longer. I love 4-pound test. I fish with mono religiously. When I'm shooting docks, guys, mono religiously. Because I feel like mono comes off the spool better and I get a further shot with monofilament line. Let me give you a tip. If you're going to shoot docks, put the 6 and the 8-pound test away. Leave it at home. It's great to have that 6-8-pound test to horse fish, but leave it at home. A lot of times, or all the time, I'm using 4-pound test under docks. A 32nd ounce jig, 4-pound test line. I forgot how many 4 is, I guess. 4-pound test line, vicious. Right there. 4-pound test, vicious. Okay, that's high vis yellow. Always high vis under a dock. I want to be able to see that line jump if the fish strikes. Okay, so let's recap. Docks, always 4-pound test. 32nd ounce jig. I'm using plastics, okay? Most of the time I'm shooting a dock, it's a bonehead stump bug or a bonehead slim stick. I will throw a crappie magnet under a dock every once in a while, but for the most part, it's a bonehead stump bug. The reason I like a stump bug is because it offers that wider profile, okay? So it offers a little bit of a wider profile. Because it's got that beaver tail in the center, and I feel like that does affect my fall rate. So I feel like if I get something with a little bit wider profile, it won't fall as quickly in the water column. So again, it's slowing down my presentation. Bonehead tackle, they do have a dense jig, which I really, really like, which I hadn't really noticed that it makes a whole lot of difference with a denser jig over something not as dense. I think something that's not as dense may fall even slower, but that's why, again, I go to something with a little larger profile that, catches more water, kind of slows it down a little bit. I always use a 6-foot rod to shoot docks. I use a 6-foot ACC crappie stick to shoot docks, always 6 foot. I feel like a 6 foot is the best between too much backbone and not enough backbone. So the 6.5, I feel like it has a little bit too much backbone to where it's just stiffer and a little harder to be accurate with my shot. Anything under 6 foot, I feel like gets real flimsy, real whippy, and again, harder to control that shot. So that 6 foot hits right in the middle. I love a 6-foot ACC crappie stick to shoot docks with. That's my go-to. Okay, that's my setup for shooting docks. I'm sure you guys have your favorite thing to shoot docks too. That's what I've found the best and why I've found that to be the best for me. All right, Jimmy says, I pulled some up from 41 feet this week. At first, it was on its side. I grabbed it by the tail and waved it back and forth and watched it swim back down. Yeah, a lot of times, Jimmy, they will. And then if you move on somewhere else, they'll pop back up. So if they do, the hawks, eagles, and falcons got to eat too, right? So that's what I always tell myself about little fish. When you hook a little fish, we have a 10-inch limit in Tennessee. And when I hook a 9-inch fish down deep and I get a gill or something and I throw him back and he floats, I always think, well, I just fed an eagle for the day. You know what I mean? So everybody says, I can't stand TWRA, won't let me keep that meat, and just goes to waste. It doesn't go to waste because it feeds something. Feeds another fish, or feeds a bird, or feeds an otter, or it feeds something, regardless. So doing your part, feeding wildlife. All right, Sid Lewis says, my favorite style is using my custom hand-tied jigs like I sent you, Matt. Vertical, casting, dock shooting, long lining, just saying. So, yeah. So casting, dock shooting, vertical, casting, dock shooting, long lining, just saying. So, yeah, there's a lot of different techniques there. Let's talk a little bit. We talked about dock shooting. Let's talk about a dead stick, like a vertical presentation. So a vertical presentation, I find for me, isn't as good in the summer. Okay. I feel like a vertical presentation is more so a winter technique for me, for my personal liking, because those fish are lethargic in the winter. They don't want to chase a bait. So you really have to get it in front of them until they decide to eat it. In the summer, I feel like they want that bait moving. They want that flash, and they want to chase something. So I don't typically use a vertical presentation in the summer, but a dead stick presentation, that's where you see a lot of these guys that are doing that now with live scope. They've got that 10, 12-foot rod, and they're putting that bait right in front of that fish's face, and they're just holding it dead straight up and down vertical. And they're just bumping it, twitching it, moving the rod a little bit to get it to swing or whatever it may be, until that fish strikes it, until it decides to bite. So that's kind of your dead sticking vertical presentation. I use a braid for that with a fluorocarbon leader. I typically tie a 6 or 8 pound fluorocarbon leader, probably 3 to 4 feet of that on the end of my braid. I like a braided line because I can feel every single thing. If a fish sneezes on it, I'm going to feel it. If he sneezes within 3 feet of it, I'm going to feel it. So I typically use a braid for that. Plus, there's no stretch. And with a 10 or 12-foot rod, having no stretch in your line, because when you rear back on a big fish, that rod's going to give quite a bit because it's so long. So having a line that doesn't give too gets you a really good hook set and really good hookup ratio with that braided line on those longer rods. So. All right, Larry Merrick says, live scope, pitching to brush pile jigs, but had a blast getting bluegill right under Chick Dam tied up to it with crickets. I've heard a lot of people that fish down there, Larry, and we're going to do some bluegill fishing for sure. And I've heard a lot of people that have caught a lot of bluegill down there, and good bluegill too. So live scope pitching to brush is kind of the go-to technique anymore now that live scope's out. So Rusty says, my favorite is fishing brush and also sniping open water fish on live scope. Long lining and spider rigging is fun too. Wanted to learn crankbaits more, but once I got live scope, I stopped doing anything else. And see, that's what I'm afraid of, guys. I mean, that's what I'm not going to say worries me with crappie fishing. I'm just going to say to me, it's not ideal. And look, I'm a live scope guy. I love my live scope. Absolutely do. No doubt. It's won me some tournaments, 1 or 2. But I'm just afraid that the simplicity of crappie fishing is going to get lost in the live scope jargon. And, the techniques that everybody used that hooked them on crappie fishing, the techniques that everyone used to use that, like I said, got you hooked are going to fall by the wayside. I'm afraid of that. So, there's always going to be people out there that don't go buy live scope, that don't, for whatever they're choosing to not buy live scope is, they're still going to use those techniques. They're still going to spider rig. They're still going to long line troll. I used to spider rig before I bought my Ranger 690. And when I bought my Ranger 690, I said, I'm never going to spider rig again because I just didn't want to put that many holes in the front deck to put my rod holders on. And I didn't want the bases up there all the time in my way. So I said I was never going to spider rig again. And I haven't yet. So I love to spider rig. Spider rigging, when it was good, it was good. But when it was bad, it was really bad, guys, because you're moving so slow. So when you spider rig, you've got 8 rods out in front of the boat like this right here. And it looks like, that's why I call it spider rigging, because you got 8 rods, 8 legs, out in front of the boat. And you're just moving around real slow, just looking for those, trying to catch those open water fish that you catch with live scope now. So the way I always did it, I always double minnow rigged. I tied my own rigs. I'd have about a 2-foot leader below a swivel, 3-way swivel, with a minnow hook on the bottom. And then I used a snailed hook, the 8-inch or 10-inch, whatever it is, snailed hooks. And I put that through one side of the swivel. So that was my double minnow rig. And depending on what the wind was doing and what the current was doing, I had them tied from anywhere from 1/4 ounce to 3/4 ounce, depending on how deep I was fishing and how much current there was. The biggest thing is you got to keep your bait straight up and down when you're spider rigging. I always use 12-foot rods to spider rig. If you guys are interested in spider rigging, start with 12-foot rods. Okay. 14, 16, anything bigger than that. Foot rods, they get cumbersome in a boat, and you really can catch a lot of fish on 12s. And that's where I feel like everyone should start, is with 12s, because they're just easier to handle in the boat until you get used to spider rigging. Once you get used to spider rigging and you get seasoned with it, you can move up to those 16-foot rods. But 12s, you can catch a lot of fish. I caught a lot of fish on my 12-foot rods and never wanted to change. So Nathan Wood, pulling crankbaits. I love pulling crankbaits. Love pulling crankbaits. It's just something special about catching a fish on a crankbait, a crappie on a crankbait. For years and years and years, all of us growing up, you thought crankbaits were for bass, right? Or walleye, or, whatever you pull crankbaits for. Here I go again. But catching a crappie on a crankbait is just so much fun. I mean, to watch that rod and see that fish come up to the surface on that crankbait and just watch him skim across the surface. It's just a lot of fun. So I love pulling crankbaits as well. I pull mine, like I told you guys before, I pull mine on a 2-ounce inline weight. I'm more or less kind of pushing crankbaits, but out of the back of the boat. So it's a lot of fun for me. That's how I enjoy to do it. And I'll show you guys more of that probably this weekend on the video. So watch out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I pull Arky crankbaits. That's all I pull. There's one right up here. All I pull is Arkies. I rather pull the 220, which is that model right there. It's the small model. It says dives 2 to 6 feet, but when you put it on a 2-ounce inline weight, you can make it hit the bottom if you want it to. So I pull those, or the 320s. Those are 330s. These are 220s. The larger size is the 330. So I'll pull one or the other. And no, I don't use line counter reels. I don't do any of that. Generally, I just strip my line off because I'm using inline weights. 2/3 of my length of my line is my depth. So, I can put out 15 feet of line and I know I'm running 10 feet deep. I can just strip that off with my hand. It's pretty simple for me doing it that way. So I do not use line counter reels, but you can. I do it the cheap way because line counter reels is expensive. Matthew says 32nd ounce bonehead stump bug, baby. Shooting the docks. Ashley says, prior to live scope, I love throwing bobbers and minnows and tight lining trout and crappie magnets. tight lining, trout and crappie magnets. Have loved dock shooting since learning it last year. I had a great teacher. I don't know who that was. Your teacher, anyway. So Ashley and I went on a trip. We were on a guide trip last year, and we went down to Chick and shot docks. And how many did we catch, Ashley? Like 109? Didn't we catch like 109 or something? How many did we catch? I don't remember. I think it was on our post. I can go back and look, but I don't remember how many it was. It was a lot. We caught a lot of fish. A lot of fish. It was fun. It was a fun trip. Trent Huber asks, do fish sneeze? I know they fart. I felt that before. It's funny. I said fish sneeze earlier. If a fish sneezes on it, you'd feel it. I feel like fish sneeze. I feel like they burp, sneeze, fart, all that stuff. All that stuff. Larry says, we trolled for the ACC tournament. It's okay, but you just don't get the thump. No, you don't get the thump, but you get the visual, right? You get the visual thump. A lot of times when you're long lining, you'll see that rod, that rod will and come back and then slowly bend over. So you see that initial thump and then that rod bends. So it's a lot of fun too. Planer boards is an absolute blast. So if you guys had never pulled planer boards, I have a couple videos out pulling planer boards, but pulling planer boards for crappie is an absolute blast. If you like seeing that float disappear, you'll love seeing a planer board shake. I mean, it is a lot of fun for sure. Jamie Nelson says, I can't wait to learn pulling cranks. Seems like a great technique. It is a great technique. It's a lot of fun, and it is extremely, extremely productive in the summer when those fish are active and they're looking for food and they're looking to feed and they're just active. The water's warmed up, and plus a crankbait, you just get a natural reaction strike out of anyway. Pair all that together, and you've got a good day of fishing. So you can catch a lot of fish on crankbaits in the summer for sure. Heidi said bingo. I think she's talking about getting, the crappie fishing of old getting lost in the new live scope craze. Jamie Nelson, how many rods you typically pull cranks with? So that's a good question, Jamie. So I'm set up to pull 8 rods, but I never do. I always pull 6. Unless I have somebody with me in the boat. If I have another guy with me in the boat, I'll pull 8, but 8's just too much for me to deal with. So I will pull 6. Dave D says, new to crappie fishing, and I hear about fishing brush piles, but since I don't place any myself, what is the best way to locate them? Is it just a matter of driving around the water long enough? Thanks. Absolutely it is, Dave. So people ask me all the time, how do I get better at fishing? How can I get better at crappie fishing? The number one response from me that most everybody on this channel will tell you is stop fishing and go looking. Stop fishing and go looking. If you don't ever go looking, you're always going to stay where you're at with fishing. You've got to get off the rod and reel and put your butt in the seat and go find more structure. Go find more brush piles. Go find more trees. Go find more stumps. Go find more docks. Go find more stuff that fish are holding on. A lot of times tournament fishing, it just rolls right down to who has the most spots, who can fish the most spots in a day's time, because that guy is going to present his bait to more fish in a day. He's going to have a better opportunity to catch more big fish during the day. It's just a matter of moving. Go find a new stuff. Go just put the rod and reel down for half your trip. If people would commit to going on, when they go fishing, let's say if it's a 4-hour trip or a 6-hour trip or 2 hours, whatever you have available to you, if people would set their mind to, I'm only going to fish half the time I can today for 6 months. Just do it for 6 months on your lake. 6 months. Say, okay, I've only got 2 hours to fish today, so I'm going to go fish some spots I know for an hour, and then I'm going to put my butt in the seat, go somewhere I don't know, and I'm just going to ride around and look for an hour and mark stuff. Then after 6 months, you would be amazed at how many waypoints you have and how many spots you now have to fish. And how many more fish you catch every trip because you have more spots to fish. So that would be my number one suggestion to anybody that's new crappie fishing, is just to go fish more, or go look more. Fish less, look more. See, Rusty's agreeing. He says side scan is your best friend for locating brush. Side scan is. You don't have to have it. If you don't have it, you can still locate brush. You can still use your down imaging and standard sonar. You just have to, make your passes a little bit closer together. So instead of being able to go down and turn around and go 50 feet this way and go again 50 feet, or 100 feet, you only can do about this way 10 feet and then 10 feet. So you just have to know your unit, know what you're looking for, or know what you're looking with, whether it be standard sonar, down imaging, or side imaging, and use that to your advantage. Ashley said 114, not counting the ones that got off at the boat. Yeah, so we caught 114 fish, and that was not counting the ones that Ashley let get off at the boat. I don't remember me letting him get off the boat. Ashley might have let some get off the boat. But I don't remember I did that. I'm just saying. But yeah, 114 we caught that day. So it was a really, really good day. We, that's typical kind of down there is you can go down there and catch 100 fish in a day pretty easy. So it's a blast. It really is. I really enjoyed it. And it was a great trip with great company. So Kip Wright says, good advice. Fish less, look more. Absolutely, 100%. Ashley says, Dave D, Matt has a great Navionics video also that will help you decide what areas of the lake to look and what depths. That will cut a lot of your searching out. So yeah, thank you, Ashley, for that. The Navionics video is great. Go watch that when we're done here. But that's a great point. So Dave, you need to kind of think to yourself, what season are we in and what depth water should I be looking in? So in the summer, you want that 20 to 30 foot range. In the fall, you want that 12 to 20 foot range. In the winter, it really opens the lake up to any depth range in the winter. And in the spring, you want that, 7 to 15 foot range. So, ask yourself, what time of year is it? Where should I be locating those fish at and what depths? Look at if you don't have Navionics on your unit, you can get it on your cell phone. You can get the Navionics boating app and you can look at your lake and you can identify, what depths you need to be looking in and where those depths are. You can actually have that follow you while you're on the lake with your phone's GPS, and you can tell yourself, okay, I need to be over here, I need to be over there. This is the right depth. This is the wrong depth. So there's a lot of things you can do with Navionics to eliminate water. Eliminate your water and then go look in the water that you can't eliminate for your structure. All right, guys, we've been on for a little over an hour. We're going to call it a night tonight. So look, real quick before I sign off, if you want to learn more about these techniques, if you want to learn how to actually put these techniques that we talked about tonight into motion and actually go to the lake and use the techniques, the next Crappie Academy class at Crappie Cove is going to be techniques to catch crappie. We're going to go through how to tie rigs, how to long line, how to spider rig. We're going to go through it all, how to live scope, how to fish brush without live scope. We're going to talk about the countdown methods. We're going to talk about shooting docks, how to shoot docks. We're going to do all that. And there's going to be a dock shooting competition. If you're in the classroom, there's going to be a dock shooting competition in the classroom that day. So if you are going to attend that class at Crappie Cove in person, you better bring your A game because you're going up against Mawa. Okay, so we're going to have a dock shooting competition. in classroom. Winner of that is going to win a really great prize. I'm not going to give that away what that is just yet, but we will have a dock shooting competition at that class. So it's going to be techniques for catching crappie, and there will be a dock shooting competition. So start practicing now, guys. I'm not going to tell you how to practice because you're going to compete against this guy, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. I'm looking forward to it for sure. So discount codes real quick for the ones that are still here. Discount codes on the bottom of your screen. Crappie Cove 10% off with the Wired discount. Call Crappie Cove or use it on their website. Wired gets you 10% off. 10% off their fishing specialties poles for your live scopers, for your live scope transducer. Wired, 10% off there. And then the stowaway mounts, stowawaymounts.com, 10% off, code Wired there as well. Okay, so go save yourself some money. Use those discount codes, guys. I appreciate y'all for being here tonight. Let me just check these comments one more time, make sure we're not missing a whole lot. Larry Merrick says, bring your own rods. Yes, we will have everybody probably bring their own dock shooting rod if they have one that they're seasoned with. I don't want anybody's excuse to be, I didn't have my rod, okay? So we're gonna get with everybody that's participating in that class live. Like I said, the information is at crappiecove.com. If you go to crappiecove.com, you can click on the Crappie Academy tab, and it'll show you the date and time for that and how to get registered. Okay, so okay, just making sure I wasn't missing anything. But yeah, how to get registered for the Crappie Academy, and you can get that at crappiecove.com. And yes, we will touch base with everybody that's coming live and let them know there will be a dock shooting competition and they need to bring a rod. So they don't have to. They're welcome to use mine. They can use the exact same one that I use and put my mojo on it and let you have it. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. So, all right, guys, we're signing off. I appreciate y'all for watching. Y'all have a great week. We will see you here next week, same time, same place, 9 p.m. Next Wednesday night. Watch out for the video this week. I'm going to have another house video coming soon, update on the house, and I appreciate you guys for watching. As always, God bless. I appreciate y'all. We'll catch you later.